silence those cell phones. And each candidate is going to present an opening statement, and then we go into the question and answer portion of the format, where the candidates will have 1 minute to respond. When you submit questions are asked to all candidates. We do not target a particular candidate, so all candidates respond to all questions. During the question and answer portion of the program, I can choose to give rebuttal time of 30 seconds to each candidate as well. And again, you may submit questions on the index cards. Just hold them up, and we have lots of ladies here to collect them for you. So at this time, we're going to get started with the race for Carmel Clerk Treasurer. First, we have Ms. Cordray, who will give her opening statement.
Thank you. I'm Diana Cordray, and I believe, Mr. President. And like you and like me, I believe that taxpayers have a right to know how we spend their money. During my tenure as Clerk Treasurer, we have worked to raise the standards of fiscal transparency and financial reporting. In 2000, we implemented Laserfish, which is a way that our average citizens can go online and find out what's going on in Carmel. Our ordinances are back to the 1800s. Advances we've made, we have a payroll, we have council information that's paperless, and we now do our claims weekly. Before we did them bi-weekly. Between the years of 1998 and 2008, we were honored with the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting, as well as receiving the financial. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cordray. Ms. Pauley.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christine Pauley. I love the city of Carmel. I am a fiscal conservative Republican who is an experienced manager with a proven innovative leadership skills. As a Carmel resident, I have served as an active volunteer in the community as both the president of Garin Catholic High School. I am a member of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. I am a President's Club member of Hillsdale College, and I'm also part of the alumni from the Carmel Citizens Police Academy. I graduated from Michigan State University in Materials Logistics, and I also have a paralegal certification from IUPUI. I am currently employed at Raytheon Defense System as a senior contracts manager for both munitions and Air Warrior Air Soldier components. My experience as a senior administrator working in the United States government military realm has given me the experience in managing, administrating, and completing complex legal and cost contract endeavors. In addition, I have had to use my negotiating skills.
Thank you. Sometimes that minute goes fast, doesn't it? Okay. My first question I'm going to ask is, why are you running for office? And that will go to Ms. Pauley first.
I'm running for the Clerk Treasurer's office because what I see happening in our city government right now is a lack of communication between the different departments. I feel that my skill set to help with negotiations and my government contracting experience would help be able to assist the Clerk Treasurer's office into working with the other components of the city government. My skill sets match quite nicely with the responsibilities of the Clerk Treasurer's office, from managing cost contract to being to managing the legal aspects of the contracts, and to do the oversight necessary to ensure that the contracts are in fact legal and binding for the city. So I decided to run for Clerk Treasurer after discussions with my children, and feel that I can best serve the city in this capacity.
Thank you, Ms. Pauley. Ms. Cordray.
My staff of 6 women and I have I'll remember that next time, have almost 95 years of experience. We have worked together to advance the city in many, many ways, to work on our bond ratings. We recognize that we're not perfect. We recognize that we make mistakes. But on the other hand, our audits and people that we've worked with are very happy that were there. I appreciate you being here, and I understand being on the outside sometimes it's difficult to find what's going on the inside. But I can assure you that we work very hard, that we are trying to move forward, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. And there's more to do, and that's why I like to have another term. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cordray. Rebuttal, Ms. Pauley?
Well, I understand the need for transparency within our city government. The current clerk treasurer has taken an oath of office to uphold the state statutes and ordinances of Indiana and Carmel. What we have here now is a situation where we need to have a clerk treasurer who attends the Carmel Redevelopment Commission's monthly meetings to ensure that the individual understands and knows what's going on. To be an informed government employee, you need to attend the meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Pauley. Mrs. Cordray, 30 seconds. Thank you. Next question will go first to Ms. Cordray. Mrs. Cordray, what's the most important function of the clerk treasurer, and how would you carry out that function?
Well, I think the most important function is the fiscal responsibility. We have a lot of money coming to the city of Carmel. Your tax dollars in line, and we have a very experienced staff that works with our funds. It's interesting because it looks so easy from the outside, but it's not easy. And we have staff that works many hours. Sometimes they have to work overtime because we have no place to add additional staff.
Thank you, Mrs. Cordray. Ms. Pauley?
I believe that the most important part of the clerk treasurer's position is, in fact, the fiscal responsibility. It's a huge responsibility, and it entails that the clerk treasurer, who spearheads and is the leader of the office, the piece that is missing at this moment is the customer service that is required for the individual, for the clerk treasurer's office, because we need to ensure that we have all the information that's given at the meetings documented and actually put on the website of the city's website, so that we can be able to access the information and have the transparency necessary. And that, like I said, entails attending the meetings for, in fact, the Carmel Redevelopment Commission, along with the city council meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Pauley. 30 seconds, Mrs. Cordray.
Yes, I attend the city council meetings for 19 years. It's been a long time. The redevelopment commission, we do record those meetings. We do watch those meetings. If we have questions about that, I have meetings with the director and finance person of the redevelopment commission twice a month, and we discuss those issues that come up. It is important to communicate, and I think we work very hard at trying to communicate. It's not always easy.
Thank you, Mrs. Cordray. Ms. Pauley, 30 seconds.
It's one thing to watch it online. It's another thing to be able to actually be present. You get a better feel for the individuals that are there at the meetings. I think it's imperative that the clerk treasurer has a presence at these meetings to show the constituency that the individual cares about what's going on, because we need to understand what is going on within our fiscal area of our city government.
Thank you, Ms. Pauley. Next question will go to you first. If elected or re-elected, do you plan to open up the competition for the city's banking business?
Yes, I think it's important to have full and open competition. Coming from the federal government arena, contracting arena, we can strive to get the best value when we open up the purchases for the city government and or the federal government to allow for full and open competition. I think it's important that we allow everyone a seat at the table to give their best and final offers for the city's business. We're all going to win with that strategy.
Thank you, Ms. Pauley. Mrs. Cordray?
We do bid the banking business. We've done that ever since we came into office. It seems like the one bank that we have been using for quite a while always comes in for a little bit, and those bids are kept quiet. They are not divulged to anyone until the award is made. But I think that it's very important because the bidding process is an objective way of awarding that business, and that's what we've done for 19 years. And as a matter of fact, we will be doing that in the summer.
Thank you, Mrs. Cordray. 30 seconds, Mrs. Pauley.
No comment.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Cordray? Okay. And next question. You've alluded to some of this in your opening statements and in other responses to questions, but if you had to break it down to one quality that best qualifies you over your opponent for this position, what would that be and why? And we'll start with you, Mrs. Cordray.
I have a bachelor's degree from IU in psychology and criminal justice, and then a year of law school. So I think I have the academic background, and that makes my job a little bit easier. But it's still a challenge to come into an office and don't have a background. When I came into the office with Mayor Brinkman in 1996, the city was a much smaller place. The revenues were much smaller. And so we had an opportunity to work through this together. And that's what we've done. And I think it's very important. It would be very challenging to have someone come in at this point juncture without a background.
Thank you, Mrs. Cordray. Mrs. Pauley?
Bottom line difference between the two of us is that the citizens of Carmel need a clerk treasurer who has both the energy, the communication skills, and the business acumen to provide the highest form of customer service and relationship building that's necessary to move our city forward. My opponent has repeatedly not wanted to move the city from a third-class city to a second-class city. With our growth of our population going from 35,000, which is the benchmark for a third-class city, going up to, we're currently at 85,000. With Noblesville and Noblesville and Fishers going to a second-class city, the citizens of Carmel deserve a functioning city government that's going to be reflective of the size of the population that we have here in Carmel. We're going to be topping out at 100,000, and our city needs to be reflective of the increase in our population, both from the city court to the fiscal management of the city.
Thank you, Ms. Pauley. 30 seconds, Mrs. Cordray.
All I want to add is I want to say something positive, and I'm having a hard time doing that. But the point of all this is the city council makes the decision about second-class city. I don't make that decision. As a matter of fact, I've never been consulted about it. That is a council decision, and it remains a council decision, and whatever they decide, I would have to go with. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cordray. 30 seconds, Ms. Pauley.
That is true. The city council will make that determination, and the next clerk treasurer, once the city council decides that they're going to pass this and goes to a second-class city, the effect of it will occur in the following year or the following election cycle. So the next clerk treasurer has to have the energy, has to be positive, has to desire to move that office forward and to be able to put into motion the office to possibly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pauley. We have a questioner who's asked about a second-class city, and so I'm going to kind of reframe that question based on what you both have said. So like maybe a little bit of education for the voters. What what does it mean? You've talked about population, but what does it mean if Carmel's a second-class city versus not being a second-class city, and what impact would that have on the role of clerk treasurer? And that would go to you first, Ms. Pauley.
Okay. The third-class city and second-class city is established by the Indiana State Code. It is a decision that's going to be handled by the City Council. Second-class city allows for the separation between the actual clerk responsibilities and the treasurer's responsibilities. The treasurer actually will be a fiscal officer or a comptroller for the city when we jump to a second-class city, and that comptroller would have increased fiscal responsibilities for the city. It would be an appointed position. The clerk of the court, the clerk position would still be an elected position, but the responsibilities would be split. The city court also would have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pauley. Mrs. Cordray.
Yes, the differences that you mentioned are very evident. I think it's important that as an elected official, I represent you. I don't represent the government. I don't represent any one person. I represent you. It's your money that we're spending. It's you who we represent, and I think that is important. If the city council decides to move to second-class city, so be it. That is their decision. But as long as I'm elected, I represent you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cordray. 30-second rebuttal, Ms. Pauley.
Yes, that is correct. The clerk treasurer sits at the pleasure of the constituents of City of Carmel. With that said, the clerk treasurer has to be agreeable to whatever action that is deemed appropriate and voted on by the city council. So if the city council decides that they're going to vote and approve moving the city to a second-class city, then the clerk treasurer will have to begin the process to get the city, the clerk treasurer's office ready for the split.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Pauley, 30 seconds. Mrs. Cordray. Okay, thank you. We're now going to move to the closing statement portion of our program, and each candidate does have 1 minute, and we'll start with you first, Ms. Pauley.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for attending this forum and for the League of Women Voters for putting this on for our constituents. It's a big endeavor. It's a great service for our city. A lot has been said this evening, but what I'd like for you to take away from this evening's discussion is what I would bring to the office of clerk treasurer. Again, I love the city of Carmel. The citizens of Carmel deserve and expect a city government that maintains professional standards while collaborating to move our city forward. The strength of our community is built on each one of us working together. We're building relationships that promote an open, varied dialogue. It's not an issue that differing opinions exist here among our city's elected officials. It's an issue when those differences are not handled in a professional manner. My area of expertise in government contracting and negotiations have garnered positive results for my employer. I am a force for good. I promise to work with all the parties responsible for the successful operation of our great city government to allow the efficient use of our citizens' time and energy.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pauley. Mrs. Cordray.
I have attempted to be a trailblazer for women in public service. I have served my state association. I have served the National League of Cities. I have focused on both personal and professional commitments to excellence and approached challenges with a keen sense of purpose. Public transparency and professional fiscal management are critical to the future of our community. And it's my my sincerest goal to continue to maintain the high standards in both areas. I thank you for being here this evening. I hope we haven't bored you to death. But we are here to ask for you to make a decision about the future of our city. And thank you.
Let's please try and give both candidates a round of applause.